The dairy farmers' struggle for an improved deal seems far from over. Today, hundreds of farmers descended on Canberra to put their plight to the federal government.
Some farmers travelled for 12 hours to join this protest and to put the case to Primary Industry Minister John Kerrin. They say a 22% rise in the price of processed dairy products is essential for the industry's survival and that cheap imports must be stopped. Ex-dairy farmer and Labor backbencher Barry Cunningham tried to put the government's case to the farmers, but he was not well received. Mr Kerrin told the farmers that the government was doing their best, but that didn't stop farmers' threats to blockade milk supplies and throw imports into the harbour. Perhaps Dubbo farmer Cole Shibble summed up the day best.
I've always been conservative in my outlook, but I think it's time that we became more militant.
A Mooroopna man has returned from Tamworth with a winner of one of country music's most prestigious awards. Reg Poole, once a Stanhope dairy farmer, is now the possessor of 3 golden guitars.
In 1974, Reg was judged the best new talent at Tamworth's Australasian Country Music Awards, but he's come a long way since then. In 1981 and again this year, he was awarded a golden guitar in the Heritage section, an award for the music which best reflects the image of Australian country music. In addition, Reg was voted the most popular male vocalist by readers of the Sun newspaper only a fortnight ago. But even for an artist as popular as Reg Poole, there was strong competition in Tamworth.
Well, I guess the biggest name of all in the recording industry is Slim Dusty, and he, of course, was in the final 5 of the Heritage Award, so it was nice to come out on top there.
And what was the song that did it for you?
The song was the title track off an album that was released earlier last year called When the Big Mobs Came to Burke.
What's that about?
Well, it was a concept album that is all about the early days of droving, when they used to bring the big mobs of cattle down from Queensland to be slaughtered at Burke. So the whole album is based around that sort of theme. And
have you won any similar awards before?
Yes, luckily enough I've won 2 previous gold guitars, one in 1974 for the Best New Talent and one in 1981 for the Heritage Award of that year.
Then what is there left for a country music singer who's already won 3 golden guitars?
Probably not a lot in that field. Maybe the only thing that is left is a gold record.
New regulations requiring spark arresters fitted to tractors and other farm machinery to comply with an Australian standard has been deferred until November this year. The standard, when introduced, will spell out what is required in the way of spark arresting equipment.
The introduction of the regulations has been deferred to allow a review of the standard 1019-1970 to be carried out. The Minister for Police and Emergency Services, Race Matthews, says it's inappropriate to require compliance with a 15-year-old standard unless that review is carried out. However, Mr Matthews says that though the standard won't come into effect until November, that doesn't mean safety requirements will be relaxed. The introduction of an Australian standard is designed to define exactly what is required in the way of safety equipment. In the interim, he urges all farmers to regularly check the mechanical condition of farm equipment to reduce the chances of accidental fires occurring.
The National Party spokesman for Conservation, David Evans, has released the party's conservation policy, the main thrust of which is a review of fire clearance practices. We asked Mr Evans what the policy would entail.
So far as fire control is concerned, we believe that it's necessary to increase the amount of fuel reduction burning. And the reason for that is there's very clear evidence that fire has been an important part of the Australian environment for at least 1 million years, and in fact the rise of the eucalyptus, a dominant species in the Australian landscape, is probably tied to that increase in fires. The simple fact is that the amount of fuel on the ground controls the intensity of a bushfire. If you've got twice as much fuel, and you've got a fire that's 4 times as intense.
What sort of research should be carried out into fires and firefighting?
We think there needs to be increased research. There has been quite a lot of work done by CSIRO and other bodies, but there is what's known as Project Aquarius, which is trying to fit the American experience in fire bombing and fire retardant dropping from aircraft into the Australian scene. Work was done in Western Australia a couple of years ago. There should have been some done in Victoria last year and this year. The federal and state governments have cut off funds, and I think that's getting close to being a dereliction of duty.
I believe you're also trying to cut the risk to wildlife through these means.
Well, it must be very clear that if the fire is far more intense, that there is a much greater danger to wildlife. They're less able to get away. If it's a cooler fire, they've got a better chance to get away in safety and to recolonise the areas that are burned out. So certainly it's the advantage of wildlife to do that. As I said, fire's been a part of the Australian scene for a million years. They're used to getting out of the way of cool fires, but we've changed the circumstances in Victoria by controlling fires. The fuel is very much increased. We've got to burn it to increase everybody's and the wildlife and people's safety.
Dr. Len Crocombe, the Liberal candidate for Benalla, said a state Liberal government would make L-plate driving licences available from the age of 16 and P-plate licences available from 17.5 years. Dr. Crocombe said the earlier learner-driver age would enable parents to take more responsibility for their children's training over a longer period. He said the earlier probationary licence age would allow young drivers to gain experience driving solo before the legal drinking age of 18 years. Dr. Crocombe claimed a Liberal government would also enforce the .05 rule for all drivers and introduce a system of graduated penalties. The higher the breathalyzer reading, the heavier the penalty. The Local Government Engineers Association has written to the Minister for Transport, Peter Morris, expressing their concern about local road funding after the expiration of Road Grants Act in June this year. We asked Vice President of the association, Bob Seifert, about their concerns.
Well, I think it's a concern of, it should be really the concern of all people, ratepayers, travellers, the like. Our association, representing engineers throughout the state, extremely concerned about the reduced funding which has occurred over the last 10 years, and unless the new legislation provides a significant increase, and we believe at least 25% increase in funding, then the road network, the local road network throughout the Goulburn Valley and indeed throughout Australia will suffer to a greater extent than it has in the last 10 years.
What would you like to see done?
We believe that the new legislation, which is currently being developed by the federal government, must provide for at least a 25% increase in funds. This 25% increase in funds will contribute to reducing the road toll, it will reduce the cost of travel, it will assist socially throughout the nation, and certainly in Victoria alone a 25% increase in road funding will provide an extra 10,000 jobs over the next 5 years.
Do you think ratepayers are also concerned about the state of local roads?
I'm sure they are. We constantly get complaints from ratepayers and even travellers throughout the area about the condition of roads, and I believe they are, and I believe they ought to continue to be. We would ask ratepayers to approach their local Member of Parliament and insist that he presses for a higher increase in allocation for funding of local roads, both in regard to construction and maintenance. You see, with the present scope of funding, we do not believe in our area, and I know most municipalities in the Goulburn Valley, that we'll be constructing additional lengths of new road. We barely have sufficient funds for maintenance, and over the last 3 years alone, the amount of money required by the Cobram ratepayers to subsidise maintenance has doubled, and so thereby the government has relinquished that responsibility.
In news to follow, we'll be looking at voting in this Saturday's by-elections. In the upper house seat of North Eastern Province, confusion reigns over electoral boundaries. Details after this break.
Why be like Norm, welded into your chair?
Welded?
Give us a hand to get your feet in the air.
There you go, Lib.
If you're too round or you're too thin or too grey,
Too right.
there's no excuses, 'cause we need you today.
But,
Come on and join in the fun. Come absolutely everyone.
look,
There are no excuses. The time has come to hop, skip, or run. So life be in it today. The time has come, so life be in it today.
Oh, g'day. You know, farming leaves its mark on just about every Aussie. Anyway, farming does earn just about half of Australia's export income, and that's more than mining or manufacturers, I'll tell you. So farms not only grow the world's best food, they make Australia grow too. You see, farms are important to all of us, to me, to you, oh, and the boot polish industry too. Advancing agriculture advances Australia. So farms make jobs, money, a better life for all of us.
Neversol Travel Agencies introduced the 1985 New Zealand tour at 1984 cost. 17 days for $1,199, departing on March 11. Visiting both islands, your tour covers Christchurch, Mount Cook, Milford Sound, historic Queenstown, Fox Glacier, Wellington, Auckland, and of course Rotorua. $1,199 covers travel, transfers, touring, quality accommodation, breakfasts and all dinners except on the first night. Book for this wonderful New Zealand holiday at Neversole Travel Agencies, Shepparton and Cobram.
Despite an intensive publicity campaign by the Electoral Office, it appears that many people in the viewing area are unaware that they have to vote again on Saturday. There's a by-election for the New South Wales seat of Murray and for the Victorian seat of North Eastern Province. Ron Alderton filed this report.
It seems remarkably strange that people already tired of elections are unaware that we have two by-elections in the viewing area next Saturday. One for the New South Wales seat of Murray, the other for North Eastern Province here in Victoria. The two people contesting the North Eastern by-election are the former member Bill Baxter, who resigned to contest for federal parliament in December. Mr. Baxter lost that battle. Now he wants his old seat back. Then we have Stephen Blair. Stephen, who is comparatively new to the political arena, is an agricultural scientist. Stephen has had the support of the heavyweights of the Liberal Party, ranging from Margaret Peacock to Jeff Kennett and many others. Mr. Baxter, likewise, from some of the big names in the National Party. There are special problems involved in the North East by-election. The seat will not be fought out on recent new boundary changes. As Bill Baxter resigned to contest the seat in the recent federal elections, it will be contested using the old boundaries for the province. All people on the electoral rolls for the subdivisions of Benalla, Benambra, Murray Valley, Nathalia, Vardatan and Shepparton must vote. Shepparton also takes in Datura, Murchison and Marupna. Failure to vote will incur a penalty of $10. Electoral officers in Wodonga, Shepparton and Wangaratta have been inundated with inquiries from people anxious to find out whether they have to cast a vote on Saturday.
The polling will be held between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. on Saturday. Absentee voting is available within the different subdivisions, and postal voting closes at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Or postal votes can be handed into the polling booth on Saturday within the electorate. In the Murray by-election in New South Wales, the opponents there are the National Party's Jim Small and Independent Ray Brooks. Now with a preview of racing tomorrow at Benalla, here's Channel 6 racing commentator Charlie Rodway.
Thank you, Jeffrey, and good evening. 7 events at Benalla tomorrow, the first coming to you at 5 minutes to 1, with complete radio and complete TAB coverage. And the feature event of the day is the Ben Crow Memorial Town Plate. The Benalla Town Plate is one of the big country races. Selections on behalf of the Commercial Hotel at Benalla, and I've got one for you right from my dad. It's a long while since my dad's give you one, and we've got one for you in race 6. In race 1, the maiden 3-year-olds are upward, 5 from 10, 4, 5 Lord Niskew, a very good second at Mornington, and the danger to it Formative, 5 from 10 in the first. Race 2, the 2-year-old Breeders' Stakes at set weight, so the only winner in it has a big advantage, which is horse 2, Well Concealed. It won at Warrnambool, trained by Mick Serkey, should get the money, start very short in the odds, and the danger Birthday Dear, 2 from 3 in race 2. Race 3 is a progressive, 1 from 3, 1 Taking Silk, an enormous run in Melbourne recently, and the danger Magic Aura, 1 from 3. As we move into the 4 legs of the quaddie and the Town Plate, the first leg of the double, first leg of the quadrella. I've put them in 1 from 2, 1 Regal Lord, a great winner at Yarra Glen on Monday. It's been penalised a couple of kilos. It won by 4 lengths, should win again, and the danger to it Longwood Lad. 1 from 2 in the Town Plate. Race 5, the Country Cup, 1 from 4, 1 Dusty Springs to defeat 4 Stevens Mate. Not much in it. It should win again, Dusty Springs. In race 6, second leg of the double, third leg of the quaddie and Improvers, 4 from 7. And this is the good thing of the day, Appear to Remember. My dad gives this big raps for you. It's trained by Ray Lawson. A last start 5th at Caulfield in a restricted handicap. And no worries, no dangers. This will win. And for the Quinella, Fern East. 4 from 7 in the 6th. In the lucky last, race 7, 1 from 3, 1 Fiesta Rowan from 3, Pure Imagination. Checking the daily double for you tomorrow, 1 and 2 into 4 and 7. And I've said before, my dad gives big raps on horse 4, race 6, Appear to Remember, the Benalla races tomorrow.
Thanks, Charlie, for the preview and the tips there. And talking of winners, we have the winning numbers for you now in week 4 of midweek lotto for New South Wales. Numbers 30, 22, 33, 4, 38, 35, The supplementary number was 26. In Division 1, there are 3 winners to receive $172,401.30. Division 2 pays $552.60. Division 3, $13.70, and Division 4, $6.90. We'll have all the weather details for you after this break.
The Golden Murray Cricket Zone 7 will field a side against the Sri Lankan team on the new turf wicket at Deakin Reserve, Shepparton, on Friday, February the 8th, starting at 10 a.m. Admission to grounds, adults $3, pensioners $2, and children $1. There'll be a fully reserved VIP area in the eastern end of the grandstand, with lunch and refreshments being served. Tickets for this area will be sold in blocks of 6. All other grandstand seats will be $5. Tickets available from Clyde Young Shoes, Shepparton, and Lawton's Blinds of Maroofna.
Babies come in all shapes and sizes, but there is something common to all of them. The need to be loved and the need to be fed. Mother's milk provides the best part in life for your baby. For information about breastfeeding, contact the Nursing Mothers Association of Australia.
Good evening to you. 5 centres in the viewing area recorded the overnight low of 15 degrees, and the top was 27, and that was reported from Jerilderie. In detail, Alexandra firstly with the low of 15, a top of 22, and 20 millimetres of rain. Benalla 24 degrees with 8 millimetres, Cobram 25 and 6 millimetres, Deniliquin 26 and 6 millimetres, Echuca the low of 5 with 25 degrees, at Eildon also the low of 15 rather, and 21 degrees and 16 millimetres of rain. 15 at Euroa and a top of 25, Jerilderie the top of the day with 27 degrees, and Kyabram 24. No readings for Mansfield. As we move on to Numurkah, 25 degrees, Rutherglen 25 as well. No top for Seymour, but they had the low of 15 and also 15 millimetres of rain. Shepparton 24 degrees, Tokawal 25, 25 also for Wangaratta with 15 millimetres, and Yarrawonga 26 degrees today. The forecast now for tonight and tomorrow, it reads as follows. Fine, mild and mainly sunny tomorrow with a moderating southwesterly wind and a top expected temperature of 26 degrees. Moving on to the fire danger ratings. Firstly for Victoria, the rating is very high, and for southern New South Wales, likewise very high. The outlook for Saturday, fine and mild to warm. Looking interstate now at the capital city forecasts. Melbourne fine, 21. Sydney mild with a few showers, 24. Brisbane a shower or thunderstorm, 32. Adelaide fine, 28. Hobart showers clearing, 19. Canberra fine, 24. Perth fine as well with 26 degrees. And Darwin a late storm and 31. That's all we have for you for this evening. Stay with us for News World, but from us, for now, a very good night.